The auction no one watched. The space station was old and forgotten. The metal walls were rusted, and the lights above flickered like dying stars. People didn't come here for anything important. It was a place for smugglers, junk dealers, and the lowest trades in the galaxy. In one dark corner of the lower market, an alien auction was happening. There was no crowd, just 5 or 6 buyers, standing quietly, faces cold, eyes searching. Cages lined the back wall. Inside were weak aliens, some old, some sick, some scared. No one smiled. No one spoke unless they were bidding. Then came the last cage. A thin alien girl sat in the corner of it. Her skin was pale purple, almost gray. Her hair was short and messy. She looked young, maybe 15 in human years. She was barefoot, wearing a dirty cloth wrapped around her like a robe. She didn't cry. She didn't even blink much. Her big silver eyes just stared forward, empty like a broken mirror. The auctioneer, a fat man with 4 arms and yellow skin, laughed and kicked the cage. This one. No one wants her. She's quiet, probably dumb, but maybe she can clean floors. Starting price, 10 credits. The buyers didn't move. One man sneezed and turned away. 5 credits. The auctioneer tried again. 2. Still, no one bid. Jax was walking by. A human. Tall, tired, with oil stains on his jacket and messy brown hair. He wasn't rich, not even clothes. Just a ship mechanic stopping by to grab some spare parts and a drink before flying out again. He didn't care for auctions. But then he heard something. A whisper. Soft. Broken. Strange. Jax turned. The whisper came from the cage. The girl had spoken. Just one word, in a language Jax didn't know. But it sent a cold chill down his back. It wasn't the word itself. It was the way she said it. Like it meant something ancient. Powerful. He walked closer. The auctioneer grinned. Ah, you want her, human. 1 credit. Yes? Just 1. Jax didn't plan to buy anyone. He hated slavery. But something inside told him this wasn't a normal slave. What's her name? He asked. No name. She doesn't speak. Maybe broken inside. The girl looked up at him now. Her silver eyes met his. Something passed between them. Not fear, not anger. Something deeper, like she was testing him. Asking a silent question. Jax took out 1 credit chip. I'll take her. The auctioneer laughed. Sold. The best deal of the day. Jax opened the cage. The girl didn't move. He knelt down and held out his hand. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. It was cold, thin, shaking. He helped her stand. She walked with silent feet, like a shadow. As they left the auction area, some people laughed behind them. What a waste of credits, one muttered. Jax didn't care. They reached his ship, the Firefly, a small freighter parked in Bay 7. He led her inside and showed her a spare room. You can sleep here, he said softly. I won't hurt you. Eat if you're hungry. She didn't answer. She sat on the floor, curling up like a cat, her silver eyes still watching everything. Jax left her alone. Later that night, as he worked on the engine, he heard soft footsteps. She was standing behind him. Do you need something? He asked. She looked at the tools. Then, slowly, she pointed at one of the broken parts. Jax blinked. You know this. She nodded once. Then she picked up a tool and fixed the wiring with careful, perfect movements. Jax stared. How did you learn that? No answer. She returned the tool, then walked back to her room without saying a word. Jax sat in silence. Who are you? He whispered. He didn't know it yet, but the girl he bought for 1 credit would become more than just a helper. She would become a warrior, a symbol, a legend. But for now, she was just a shadow in his ship and a mystery in his life. The Broken One has a secret. The Firefly drifted quietly through space. Its engines hummed low, and the stars outside blinked like cold watchers. Inside the ship, Jax couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the girl. She hadn't spoken again since fixing the wires. She hadn't asked for food, or water, or anything. Jax stood at her door. It was slightly open. He peeked inside. She was sitting on the floor, legs crossed, hands resting on her knees. Her silver eyes were closed. Not asleep, just still. Too still. Jax stepped in. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked. She didn't move. Then, in a soft whisper, she said a word. Jax didn't understand it. It wasn't any common language, but it felt heavy. He knelt beside her. "Can you say that again?" Slowly. She opened her eyes. They glowed faintly, just for a second. Then she looked down. Jax waited. She didn't speak again. He didn't press her. Instead, he placed a warm drink near her and left. The next morning, he woke up to a strange sound in the engine room. He ran there and froze. She was fixing a damaged fuel pipe, but not just fixing, improving. She added parts he hadn't touched, parts she must have crafted from old junk. "How do you know this?" he asked. She turned slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with something deep inside. Then she spoke 3 words. "I remember pieces." Jax stared at her. "Pieces of what?" She didn't answer. "Your name?" he asked. Silence. Jax thought for a moment, then said, "I'll call you Kira. Is that okay?" She blinked, then gave the faintest nod. Kira. The name settled like dust in the air. Days passed. She started helping around the ship. She still didn't talk much, but she listened carefully. One day, Jax was teaching her human language. He pointed at things. Cup, door, light, ship. And she repeated them softly. Her voice was clear, a little sharp, but beautiful in a strange way. Then she pointed to herself. "Kira," she said. Jax smiled. "Yeah, Kira." Something about the way she said it made it sound ancient. One night, during hypersleep drift, Jax woke up gasping. He had a nightmare. But then he heard a strange sound. Soft humming. He followed the sound to Kira's room. She had drawn something on the wall. Symbols. Not random ones. Patterns. Detailed. Organized. Glowing faint blue, like they were reacting to her fingers. "What is that?" Jax asked, shocked. Kira didn't look up. "Map." "Map of what?" She touched the center symbol. It pulsed once. Her hand dropped. "My world." Jax stepped closer. "Your home. You remember it." She nodded slowly. "Not all. Just fire. Water. Faces. Then, dark." He sat beside her. "Who did this to you?" She whispered, "Council. Silenced us." "Why?" Kira looked into his eyes. Her silver gaze was sharper now. "Because we were strong." Jax felt something rise in his chest. Anger, sadness, fear. She wasn't just a broken girl. She was hiding something big, something dangerous, and someone didn't want her to ever remember it. 2 days later, a strange ship followed them through deep space. Jax noticed it on radar. No signal, no ID, just dark. "We've got company," he muttered. As he powered up the shields, Kira stepped beside him. "Not pirates," she said. "How do you know?" Her voice was steady. "They wear masks, like old ones." Jax frowned. "You've seen them before." She nodded. "They're looking for me." "Why?" Kira turned to him, her voice quiet but firm. "Because if I remember who I am, they die." The enemy ship didn't attack. It only washed, then vanished into hyperspace. Jax stood at the window, fists clenched. He knew now, this wasn't just about Kira. This was something much bigger. He looked back at her. Whatever they took from you, we'll get it back." Kira didn't smile, but her eyes shimmered. She believed him. And somewhere, far away, others were watching too. Because the broken girl was waking up. And soon, the legend would begin. The training begins. The Firefly entered a cold, quiet part of space. No planets, no stations, just black emptiness. Jax chose this route on purpose. He needed time. Time to think, and time to help Kira prepare for whatever was coming. She was changing. Her eyes were brighter now. Her voice, though soft, carried strength. She walked differently, more like a soldier than a servant. But the truth still haunted Jax. She didn't know the full power inside her. Not yet. And others would come to destroy her once she did. On the third day in deep space, Jax handed Kira something wrapped in old cloth. She opened it carefully. Inside was a small training blade. Metal, short, light. "I found this in a junk shop," Jax said. "Thought you might need it." She held it in her hand like it was part of her arm. Her grip was perfect. Her stance, natural. Jax saw it and nodded to himself. "You've used a weapon before." Kira looked up at him. "I don't remember training. But my body, it moves on its own." Jax stepped back and picked up a training staff. "Let's test that." They began. First slow, then fast. Jax had trained with soldiers, pirates, even bounty hunters before. But Kira moved differently. She didn't strike wildly. Every move was clean, focused, dangerous. But then, something strange happened. She froze. Her eyes widened. She dropped the blade. "What's wrong?" Jax asked, stepping forward. Kira stepped back, hands shaking. "I saw blood, fire, children screaming, memories." She nodded, her breath quick. "I was small. I hid. They came with black masks. They burned the temple. They called us monsters." Jax gently touched her shoulder. "You're not a monster." Kira whispered, "No." But they were afraid. Afraid of what we could become. Later, Jax searched the old files he'd gathered across his travels. He found something. A name. It wasn't a full history, but a clue. Selent Shade, a clan of ancient alien warriors, wiped out nearly 20 years ago. Some believe they were too pure, too powerful, too dangerous to control. The council labeled them extinct. Jax looked at Kira sleeping on the floor beside the console, curled up like a child. She wasn't extinct. Not yet. And someone out there knew she survived. They stopped on a hidden moon called Raktha. It was used for old combat trials. Abandoned now. Jax knew the place was perfect. No cameras, no tracking systems, just sand, metal dummies, traps, and silence. "We'll train here," he told her. Kira didn't ask why. She just nodded. The first day was brutal. Heat from twin suns, windstorms, collapsing ground under her feet. Jax set traps, swinging weights, energy blasts, tripwires. Kira failed the first few times. But by evening, she dodged everything. Silent, fast, sharp. "You move like a shadow," Jax said. She replied, "They called us that." On the second night, she found something buried under the training sand. A broken mask. Black. Ancient. Cracked. She held it in her hands and stared. "I know this." Jax crouched beside her. "From where?" "My mother wore it when she died." Jax's heart sank. "How did she die?" "Protecting me." Kira stood up, clutching the mask. Then she turned, walked into the night, and began training again, alone. Faster, harder, like she was chasing ghosts. On the third day, an unexpected signal blinked on their ship's radar. Jax checked it. "Someone's nearby," he said. "Pirates?" Kira asked. "No, this signal. It's encrypted. Military." Kira walked to the screen. "They followed us." Jax looked at her. Can you fight if they come? She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the weapon rack and picked up the training blade. Then she said, give me a real one. They didn't wait long. A drop pod slammed onto the moon's surface that night. 3 soldiers in black armor stepped out. Quiet. Quick. No markings. No names. Jax grabbed his gun and opened the ship door slowly. You know who they are, he whispered. Kira stood beside him, real blade in hand. Not who. What? Jax frowned. What do you mean? They're not here to capture. They're here to erase me. The soldiers moved fast, silent as ghosts. One fired a stun blast at Jax. Kira stepped in front, spun, and threw her blade straight into the soldier's chest. Another charge. She met him with nothing but her fists, disarming him, breaking his helmet with a swift knee. Jax fired at the third, but missed. The soldier aimed back, until Kira tackled him, pinning him down. She raised her hand, and for a moment, her eyes turned fully silver. The ground around her shimmered with energy. Then she dropped her hand. The soldier was unconscious. Jax stared. What was that? Kira stood up slowly. My memory is coming back, piece by piece. And your power. She looked at the stars above. It's just starting. They buried the bodies far under the moon dust. Jax patched his arm, blood still dripping. They won't stop coming, he said. Then we don't stop running, she replied. Jax looked at her, really looked. She was no longer the silent girl in a cage. She was becoming something else. A warrior. A storm. A legend in the making. The truth beneath her skin. The firefly floated in the shadow of a dying moon. Inside the ship, silence filled the air, but it was not peaceful. It was heavy, like the calm before a storm. Kira sat alone in the cargo bay, her legs crossed, the black mask from the battlefield resting in her lap. She hadn't spoken for hours, not even to Jax. He watched her from the hallway. She had changed. Her movements were sharper now. Her voice had more weight. But what haunted Jax the most were her eyes. They weren't just silver anymore. They glowed. Only for a second. But he saw it. Something was waking up inside her, and whatever it wasn't human. What are you remembering? Jax finally asked, stepping into the room. Kira didn't look at him. She placed the mask beside her and stared at her hands. I remember a song, she whispered. A song. My mother used to sing it. Only in battle. It was not for comfort, it was for strength. Jax sat down across from her. Can you sing it? Kira shook her head. No. If I sing it, I will become what they fear. Jax didn't understand. Not yet. But he was about to. The next day, Kira asked to go to a place Jax had never heard of. Melithra, she said. It's a dead world now, but it was once the heart of Silent Shade. Jax pulled up a star chart. Melithra didn't appear on any maps. How do you know it's real? Because I was born there, Kira said. But the galaxy thinks that planet is gone. It's not. They buried it. Jax blinked. What do you mean? Kira walked to the console, typed in ancient symbols with glowing fingers. Slowly, a hidden path lit up on the map, a secret route through an asteroid field, marked by old Silent Shade code. Jax stared at it. You've done this before. I escaped once. Now, I go back. The journey took 2 days. Dark, silent. Nothing but cold stars watching. On the second night, Kira woke up screaming. Jax ran to her room. She was curled on the floor, sweating, her arms covered in glowing marks. Tattoos made of light. What's happening? Jax shouted. Kira's eyes opened. They were full silver now, no pupils. They sealed my memories inside my body, she gasped. But the seal is breaking. Jax knelt beside her. Can I help? Hold my hand. He did. And then, Jack saw everything, not just memories. Visions, warriors in glowing armor standing on crystal towers, children learning to fight blindfolded, a mother with a blade across her back, singing the warrior's song. And then, fire, betrayal, soldiers in black armor storming the temple. Kira, a small girl, dragged from her mother's arms. Chains, silence, darkness. Jax let go, breathing hard. You were taken as a child. Kira nodded. They made me forget. But why? She stood slowly, her glowing tattoos fading back into her skin. Because they feared what we could do if we remembered. We were not just fighters. We were guardians of balance. The council saw us as a threat. Jax whispered, "You're not broken. You were hidden." Kira looked him in the eye. But now, they will know I live. Melithra wasn't on any map, but it was real. As they entered orbit, Jax saw a planet covered in black clouds and ash storms. It looked dead, lifeless. But Kira guided him to a single mountain that pierced through the clouds like a broken sword. "Land there," she said. Jax followed her command. They stepped out onto cold stone. There were no birds, no wind, just the sound of ash brushing across rock. Kira walked ahead. Her steps were calm, but her hands trembled. "Are you sure this is safe?" Jax asked. "No," she replied, "but it is necessary." They reached a carved stone door, half buried under fallen debris. Kira pressed her hand to it. The stone glowed. Then it opened. Inside was a chamber full of ancient weapons, glowing walls, and a massive statue of a female warrior with silver eyes and a blade held high. "This is the heart of Silent Shade," Kira said. Jax looked around. "No one's been here for years." "Not true," she whispered. Jax turned fast, just as a voice echoed through the chamber. "You were not supposed to return." An old figure stepped out of the shadows. Black robes, silver eyes, face marked with long scars. "Master Thren," Kira said coldly. Jax pulled his weapon, but Kira raised her hand. "He trained me, before the purge." Thren looked at her with pain in his eyes. "You survived," he said. "Barely," she replied. "They will come for you again." "I'll be ready." Thren stepped forward. "Then you must finish the bond." Jax asked, "What bond?" Kira turned to him, voice calm. "The final memory is inside this place. To unlock it, I must face my past completely. And, if I survive, I become Silent Shade again." Jax asked, "And if you don't survive?" Kira looked at the glowing statue. "Then my body will break, and my soul will be erased." The chamber darkened. Thren opened a sealed gate below the statue. "Your test awaits," he said. Kira walked toward it. Jax called after her, "Kira, wait." She paused. "Whatever you see in there," he said, "don't lose who you are now." She gave him a small nod and disappeared into the darkness, alone, with her past waiting to meet her face to face, hunted by the stars. The doors to the underground chamber stayed shut for 3 hours. Jax paced in circles at the top of the steps, fists clenched. He could feel the weight of silence pressing down on him like gravity. The old master, Thren, sat motionless beside the glowing statue, eyes closed, as if listening to something only he could hear. Jax finally asked, "What's happening in there?" Thren opened one eye. "She is facing every lie ever told to her. And if she doesn't win, then she never leaves that chamber." Jax swallowed hard. "She's just a girl." Thren's gaze hardened. "No, she is the last Silent Shade. And if she fails, we all vanish with her." Suddenly, the stone doors shook. A gust of wind burst through the cracks. Light exploded from inside, then vanished. And then, silence again. Jax rushed to the doors. "Kira." Slowly, the stone parted. And Kira stepped out. But she was not the same. Her skin glowed faint silver under the light. Faint symbols moved across her arms like flowing ink. Her silver eyes held no fear now, only purpose. Jax stepped back in awe. "Kira, are you okay?" She didn't answer for a moment. Then softly, "I remember everything." They didn't have time to rest. Within hours of leaving Melithra, a warning ping rang through the ship's console. Jax checked the screen. A message repeated over and over in red code. Classified target located. Silent Shade Protocol. Eliminate. A fleet was coming. Not just a ship or two. A full hunter fleet, 10 warships. Silent. Fast. Armed with weapons built to erase whole colonies. Thren stood behind Kira, face pale. "They know you've awakened." "Then let them come," Kira said. Jax turned in his seat. "That's suicide. Our ship's just a freighter. We can't outrun them, and we sure can't fight them." Kira sat beside him, eyes calm. "I'm not planning to run." "What's the plan, then?" "We take them somewhere, where Silent Shade never lost." They led the fleet to a graveyard of stars, a shattered system with no planets, only asteroid remains and broken space stations from a war hundreds of years old. Kira guided the Firefly into the ruins of an ancient battle platform called Kaldor's Ring. Jax followed her through the wreckage, past rusted walls and broken consoles, until they reached a chamber with a circular platform made of stone and metal. "This was a Silent Shade beacon," she said. "But more than that, it's a memory vault." Jax watched as she placed her hand on the center of the circle. Energy pulsed outward. The walls lit up with ancient blue runes. Then holograms appeared, dozens of Silent Shade warriors, kneeling in a circle, speaking in a lost tongue. The platform glowed. Thren gasped behind them. "They are still here." Kira stood tall in the center. "I call upon the strength of my blood," she said. "I call upon the memory of the fallen. Today, I fight not as prey, but as Silent Shade." The runes vanished, and from the walls, weapons rose. Staffs, blades, arm guards, all humming with energy. Kira picked a double-edged blade and strapped it to her back. Jax loaded his pulse rifle. "Ready?" She looked at him and nodded. "Don't follow me unless I fall." Jax gave a half smile. Wasn't planning to. The first of the hunter fleet dropped from hyperspace just beyond the asteroid field. Massive ships shaped like daggers, moving without sound. They fired signal flares. A voice came through their comms. "Kira of Silent Shade. Surrender now. This is your only warning." Kira didn't respond. She walked to the edge of the broken station and jumped into space. Jax's eyes widened. What the? But then he saw it. Her suit had activated. Thin energy wings spread from her back, made of pure light. She flew straight at the lead ship. Inside the command room of the hunter ship, the captain frowned. "Target approaching alone." "Yes, sir." One life form. Then destroyer. They fired plasma rounds. Kira spun in midair, slicing them apart mid-flight. Her blade shimmered as it cut through shield energy. She reached the outer wall and punched through. Alarms exploded inside the ship. Guards rushed the halls. But she moved like lightning. Spinning, striking, silent. Each step she took, memories of her mother, her temple, her fallen clan guided her hand. No sound, no mercy. Just Silent Shade. Jax and Thren watched the flames from the Firefly's window. One hunter ship, gone. The other 9 opened fire on the ancient station. "We have to move," Jax shouted. Thren placed a hand on his shoulder. "She's not done yet." Kira emerged from the burning wreckage, blade coated in ash, wings still glowing. She flew toward the next ship. The fleet scattered, now realizing what they faced wasn't just a lost girl. It was a legacy reborn. And they weren't ready for her. On the final ship, a shadowy figure stepped forward. Tall, armored in black and gold, with one glowing red eye. "Prepare the echo cannon," he ordered. "But sir, that weapon. She is not ordinary." She is Silent Shade. We must erase her completely. Back aboard the Firefly, the radar flared red. Jax whispered, "They're charging something big." Friend's face turned white. "The echo cannon. It doesn't kill. It erases memory. It will destroy her soul." Jax stood. "Then we go get her. Now." As the cannon began to power up, Kira floated alone in front of the fleet. Her energy was fading. Her blade cracked. Then she heard Jax's voice through the comms. "Kira, come back. You did enough." She looked at the stars and said, "No, they erased my people. I won't let them erase me." She closed her eyes and began to sing. The warrior's song, the one her mother sang. The stars around her pulsed with light. The echo cannon fired, and Kira vanished in the blast. Everything went silent. Jax screamed, "No." Thren fell to his knees. But then, a pulse, bright, soft, and Kira stood in space, untouched. The cannon had stopped. The fleet was drifting, systems fried, and in her hand was a new blade, pure light, a gift from the ancestors. She returned to the Firefly. Jax opened the door and stared at her. "You stopped it." She nodded, tired but calm. "They hunted me across the stars," she said, "but now they will fear me instead." Rise of the Forgotten Bloodline. The stars had changed. They still burned above Kira and Jax, still shone across the dark of space. But now something felt different. After the battle, the silence was loud. No new fleets came. No bounty hunters followed. For the first time since her awakening, Kira could breathe. But peace was not the end. It was the warning before the next storm. In the Firefly's main room, Kira sat beside a small table. Her blade rested on the floor beside her, cracked but still glowing softly. Jax walked in, carrying 2 mugs of warm synth tea. He handed her one and sat across. "You scared me out there," he said. Kira didn't smile, but her eyes softened. "I thought I would vanish, like the others." Jax looked at her. "But you didn't. You came back." "Not as the girl you found," she whispered. "I came back as what they tried to destroy." Jax sipped his drink. "So, what now?" Kira's fingers traced a glowing mark on her arm. "Now, I speak." They landed on a quiet moon called Celira, a place where exiles and drifters gathered. No council rule, no cameras, just broken ships and broken people trying to survive. Kira stepped onto the main square. Jax stayed close, watching the crowd. A mix of aliens, outcasts, scavengers, even some silent children hiding in corners. Kira climbed a rusted platform and began to speak. Her voice was calm, clear, strong. "I was sold for nothing," she said, "left to rot in a cage, forgotten by history." Eyes turned to her. "But I carry the blood of the Silent Shade. The council erased my people. They called us dangerous. But we were protectors. We stood for balance, for honor, for peace." She paused. "They took our names, our homes, our lives, but they did not take our fire." Someone in the crowd stood, a woman with one metal arm and Silent Shade markings on her face. "You speak the warrior's truth," she said. Kira nodded. "So rise with me. Let them know. We are not dead. We are not gone." Moore stood up. A tall alien with dark green skin raised a broken Silent Shade blade from his back. A child held up a small crystal with the old markings carved into it. The crowd was waking up. Jax whispered, "You just lit a fire in every heart here." Kira turned to him. "This is only the beginning." Within weeks, whispers spread across the outer systems. A Silent Shade lives. The girl with silver eyes is calling the forgotten back. The ghost blood speaks, and people listen. Rebel cells sent messages. Slaves broke free and searched for her. Warriors who once hid their marks now carved them into stone again. And all of them had one name on their lips: Kira. But far away, in the shining towers of the galactic capital, the council watched with cold eyes. A man named Lord Venerus sat at the center of the council's high chamber. He was tall, bald, and wore a robe of black silk. Around his neck, a chain made from the broken swords of fallen Silent Shade leaders. A screen lit up before him. "Our ships failed," a voice said. "She survived the echo cannon." Venerus stood slowly. "Then we stopped pretending." "What do you mean, Lord?" He walked toward the window, looking out at the stars. "The age of silence is over. She wants war. We'll give it to her." Back on the Firefly, Jax worked late fixing damaged systems. Kira stood on the roof of the ship, staring into the night sky. Thren sat beside her, silent for a long time. Finally, he said, "Your name is spreading. They're calling you the Starlight Ghost." Kira didn't look at him. "I don't want to be a ghost." "Then what do you want?" She turned slowly. "I want truth. Justice. Not just for my people, but for everyone they erased." Thren nodded. "Then you must do something no Silent Shade has ever done." "What?" "Stand before the council, alive." The next day, Kira sent a message across the stars. Not hidden, not encrypted. Clear, bold, and full of fire. "To the council," her voice said, "you erased my people. You broke our names. You sold our children. But you could not silence all of us." She stepped forward on the screen. "I am Kira of Silent Shade. I live. I remember. And now, so will the galaxy." Then the screen cut to black. Jax turned to her. "That message. It's going to start something huge." Kira nodded. "Good." That night, Kira opened an old box inside the ship. Inside were the final things left by her mother. A fragment of armor, a piece of a necklace, and a small scroll with the Silent Shade war chant. She held it to her chest. Jax appeared in the doorway. "You okay?" She looked up at him. "I'm ready now." "Ready for what?" She stood. "To show them what a forgotten bloodline can become." In the shadows of old space, ships began to move. Not hunter ships, not council fleets, but free people. Old warriors, exiles, hidden bloodlines. The Silent Shade were returning. And at the front of the storm was a girl once sold for a single credit. Now the face of a rebellion. The legend is born. War drums echoed through space. They weren't real drums, just signals. Deep, slow pulses of ancient Silent Shade code sent from ship to ship. It meant only one thing. The time had come. Kira stood at the front of a massive battle cruiser. Not the Firefly. This was something more. This was a gift from those who still remembered the old ways. The hull was made from ancient Silent Shade steel, and the command bridge was shaped like the temple she once dreamed of as a child. Jax stood beside her, armored now, with a scar on his cheek and fire in his eyes. He had stopped calling himself just a mechanic. Now he was her second. Behind them flew dozens of ships, some small, some mighty, all carrying warriors, rebels, ex-slaves, and forgotten outcasts. None wore the council's colors. They wore Kira's, a silver eye over a broken sword, the sign of rebirth. The galactic capital, Helion Prime, had turned into a fortress. Thousands of defense turrets, orbital minefields, and above it all, floating like a vulture, was the council dreadnought, Judgment's Flame. Inside its control tower, Lord Venerus prepared. "Bring the girl alive," he ordered. "The people must watch her fall. Then they will forget her." His officers didn't answer. They feared him. But deep inside, many feared her more. Because Kira wasn't just a voice now. She was a storm. As Kira's fleet approached Helion Prime, Jax leaned toward her. "You know we might not come back from this." She nodded. "It doesn't matter." "It matters to me," he said quietly. She looked at him. For a moment, her hard face softened. "You made me remember who I was," she whispered. "Even if we die, I'll die as myself. He nodded slowly. Then the alarm screamed. Enemy ships incoming. The sky turned red. Council warships launched toward them. Missile trails painted the void. Light blasts struck shields. Fighters zipped between cruisers like wasps. Kira didn't flinch. Target their main engines, she ordered. Blind them. Break their pride. Her warriors followed. She flew out herself, blade in hand, armor glowing. The stars lit with fire. One by one, council ships fell. But the Judgment's flame remained, untouched. It opened its main cannon. Jack screamed into comms, "That shot will destroy half our fleet." But Kira had already seen it. She flew toward the dreadnought, alone. Inside the dreadnought, Lord Veneris watched her approach. Fire, a beam of light brighter than the sun, tore across space. Kira dodged once, twice. But the third time, it clipped her wing. She spiraled. Jack shouted, "Kira!" She crashed through the dreadnought's outer layer, slamming into its steel walls, skidding, rolling, burning. Then, silence. Her body didn't move. Soldiers closed in. But her fingers twitched. And then, she stood. Her armor cracked, blood running down her forehead. But her eyes still glowed silver. She whispered, "I'm not done." Kira fought through the dreadnought's halls like a ghost of war. Blades spinning. Sparks flying. Memories rising with every step. Her mother's voice. Her people's screams. Her own past. And then, she reached the command tower. Lord Veneris waited for her. He drew his own blade. "You think you can change everything with your little rebellion?" he asked. Kira raised her sword. "Not change. Restore." They clashed. Steel rang against steel. He was fast, but she was faster. He was strong, but she was focused. They fought across glass floors, through burning halls, across the control deck. And then, Kira broke his blade in half. Veneris dropped to his knees. "You don't understand," he gasped. "You're just one girl." Kira looked at him. "No," she said. "I am Silent Shade." And she ended it. Outside, the council fleets saw the dreadnought go dark. Their command was broken. One by one, they stopped firing. One by one, they fell back. And the people, across planets, moons, ships, cheered. Not for war, but for the return of something they thought was gone. Hope. Weeks passed. Kira stood on the ruins of the old Silent Shade temple on Melithra. Now rebuilt. The survivors had returned. Not many, but enough to begin again. Jack stood beside her, holding a silver flag. "You did it," he said. She looked out at the stars. "No," she replied softly. "We did it." The wind blew through the temple halls. Children practiced sword moves in silence. Old warriors sang the chant of balance. And the stars above blinked, not in fear, but in respect. Because the girl once sold for nothing had become more than legend. She had become the voice of the forgotten, the blade of justice, the fire that refused to die.